You can't meet the Duke. Are you crazy? Nobody gets to meet the Duke. You meet him once and then you're dead. This week, we discuss a film that was written between 1974 and 1976 as a reaction to the Watergate scandal.
What a thing of all. I never imagined Nixon and Snake Plissken as a two-pack.
Snake Nixon. First,
Ooh,
this is the
great.
Bull Scene Podcast. I'm Kevin, joined as always by Jim.
Hey now, you're the Duke of New York. You're number one.
This week,
I thought that was good.
that was pretty good. This week, we are also joined by Katie from RetromadePodcast.
Hey guys, I'm glad to do a crossover. This is going to be super interesting.
Katie, please tell our audience a little about Retromade and when new episodes drop.
Good question. New episodes drop every other Wednesday, so it's every other week instead of weekly like the Pool Scene Podcast. But if you do like the Pool Scene Podcast, which I'm guessing that you do if you're listening to this, you might like Retromade as well because I cover movies similarly. I do 80s and 90s movies, and I choose seasons based on a theme. So season 1 is I dubbed Patrick Swayze and Kurt Russell the ultimate everyman. So it's their movies.
They are ultimate everyman.
Right?
They're so damn handsome too.
Oh, I can't even, you guys.
We'll talk more about that later. Yep. We got something up our sleeve.
So yeah, that's season 1 for Retromade, and I set the stage for the movie by kind of talking about the pop culture, what was going on in TV, music, news at the time of the movie's release. So that's awesome. My little spin. Perfect. Retromade, guys.
Yeah,
make sure you guys check them out. Where all are you available, Katie?
Oh, yes. Wherever you listen to podcasts, pretty much any podcast app. And then I also do video. So I have a YouTube channel if you want to check me and my guests out on video.
And this is why I always say that I have a face for radio, because I'm always so critical about how I look. When my girlfriend takes pictures of me, I'm like, Jesus, put another guy's face on top of me, please.
Humans are that way. I think we're super hard on ourselves.
Yeah. All right, Katie is joining us to discuss 1981's Escape from New York, written, directed, and scored by John Carpenter. Again, it was written in the mid-70s, but took the success of 1978's Halloween for Carpenter to get Escape from New York produced. New York as a filming location became somewhat of a problem for Carpenter. He needed a decaying, post-apocalyptic looking New York.
He could have went to Youngstown.
But he had a shoestring budget, and it's interesting that you say that because they considered a set, but it wouldn't have provided the depth or texture needed. So they ended up sending the location manager, Barry Bernardi, on an all-expenses-paid trip across the country to find the worst-looking city in America.
And Katie, just so you know, you're from Denver, correct?
That's where I live, yes. I'm not originally from here, but I don't live in the worst city in America, according to this location scout.
I don't think they made it to Youngstown yet.
At this time, Youngstown in the late 70s, early 80s was considered the murder capital of the country.
Yeah, we had the highest per
serious?
capita.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Literally had the highest murder per capita of any city in the United States.
Yeah, when the mob left town, everybody came in.
The steel industry shut down. The mob left town. Oh, yeah. It was bad. Bernardi ended up suggesting East St. Louis, Missouri. So plenty of old buildings, but there was also lots of rubble and damage from a massive fire in 1976 that never got rebuilt. They shot here for months completely at night, which took a toll on cast and crew because they were not seeing daylight for months. They would begin filming at 6, 7 p.m. and then just shoot overnight and then sleep all day. They primarily shot in East St. Louis, along with some shooting in Atlanta, New York, and L.A. It was James Cameron, yes, that James Cameron, who was working as one of the directors of photography that came up with some of the most innovative shots in the film, such as replicating computer graphics by using a matte replica. I can't even say that.
It's called Matt Replica.
There you go.
I got you. One of my favorite actors ever, Matthew Replica.
It was lined with reflective tape, and then using black lights, they walked underneath of it with the camera. Another notable future director played a role in changing the end of the movie. There were test screenings of a rough cut of the film for small audiences. In attendance at a test screening with his father was J.J. Abrams.
Oh.
Teenage J.J. raised his hand and asked Carpenter what happened to Maggie. It stuck with Carpenter that it was unclear, and they added an extra shot in response to young J.J. Abrams.
Wait a minute. J.J. Abrams had an issue with leaving something open-ended.
Right?
What?
I hope John
That's
Carpenter
amazing.
went to a test screening of The Rise of Skywalker and asked JJ why he would make the worst movie ever made, the absolute biggest pile of shit waste of money in the history of cinema. So,
Katie,
I'm not a
But
fan
it costs
of
more
Rise
than
of
5
Skywalker.
million.
I was going to say, Katie, do you have any feelings about Rise of Skywalker? Because it's kind of
You
polarizing
guys-
on this end.
I am the worst. Like, I've literally never seen a Star Wars movie.
Wow.
So no.
Whoa.
I have no
I see a
opinion.
season in your future where you cover like all
I don't know,
Star
you
Wars and
guys.
standalones.
I think there's a reason I've not yet seen them.
Yeah.
Katie,
it's
you are
just
very
not in my
familiar with
wheelhouse.
you're familiar with the fact that most of the movies we cover on this podcast, a lot of like the ones that are in the wheelhouse that everybody has seen, I'm notorious for not seeing
Yes.
them. And it's a running theme. Like so far this season, we did Old Country for No Men, never saw it.
Mhm.
The Room, never saw it. Luckily, with this one, I've seen multiple times,
Yeah.
so we're actually covered on this end. But yeah,
Escape from New York. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I had actually the first time I watched Escape from New York yesterday.
really,
Whoa.
Yeah, it somehow
I'm
missed
so-
me.
I am so excited to hear what your fresh-eyed take on this.
It's
because,
different.
Oh, it is, and the whole fact, what I appreciate too, is we're both 81 babies, so
Yep.
we will understand even more through a guy who's I've seen this like 50 times.
Have you seen Escape from LA? I'm assuming you haven't.
No. So that's why
Oh.
I'm excited
Okay.
to do like a double feature crossover. But yeah, this season, Kurt Russell, I got to cover them all.
Sweet.
I will say, Katie, when you watch Escape from LA after seeing this, it should never have happened. I'm just saying, it should never have happened. Previews never, or spoilers never should have happened.
But there's basketball. So Escape from New York went on to influence one of the biggest video game franchises ever, Metal Gear, and the main character Solid Snake.
Call me Snake.
Escape from New York is an action movie that doesn't have that much action and is set in the future of 1997.
Oh,
Love that. Love it.
Jim, did audiences make their way to the theater to find out what the future of 1997 held for them? Please give us budget, box office, news, and number ones at time of release.
Escape from New York came out July the 10th, 1981. To a $6 million budget, made $25 million at the box office for 1981. Pretty damn good.
Yeah.
I must say, pretty damn good. Has an 86% on Rotten Tomatoes based on 66 reviews, rated a 7.2 out of 10. I think that's spot on. For the time, spot on. Also, today, big occasion here when it comes to our podcast and our love for John Travolta. It is the 10th anniversary of Adele Dazeem.
Already?
10 years ago today,
man.
John Travolta screwed up Idina Menzel and announced her as the one and only
Adele Dazeem.
Adele Dazeem.
Wow, that's been 10 years.
Yeah, I know. You got any feelings on John Travolta there, Katie?
Oh, no. I really liked him back in the day. Like, look who's talking, John Travolta. I think he's managed to kind of unstick himself from a lot of the Scientology stuff that Tom Cruise has. So I think he's trying to stay out of it a little. I don't have strong feelings one way or the other about John Travolta.
I still can't get myself comfortable with bald Travolta though.
He doesn't look right. The beard looks like taped on.
I mean, he was probably bald Travolta for quite a while.
A long time.
Before he embraced it and publicly became bald Travolta. I just can't.
I mean,
and like a heavier set. It's just, I like Staying Alive. Saturday Night Fever, John Travolta.
We've talked about it before. Travolta had so many weird eras because you had the urban cowboy, Staying Alive, Saturday Night Fever, Vinnie Barbarino, Grease. And then you get into like Travolta's career falling off a cliff.
Oh, God.
And then, which became the Look Who's Talking movies. And then Nobody Wants Him. Tarantino puts him in Pulp Fiction. And then everybody wants him, and he wanted everyone because he did every movie imaginable, and some were hits and some were misses. And then now we're kind of in that Travolta lull again.
Dollar Tree DVD pickup Travolta, where we've talked about it. We're gonna do one of those movies.
He's in those T-Mobile commercials with Zach Braff. Like,
he was Santa Claus. Was he Santa in the T-Mobile commercials?
Yep.
Jeez. All right. Speaking of Santa, though, Kurt Russell, an adorable Santa. Just saying right now.
I mean, can he do anything not good?
I look at it like this. If he can play a guy like Snake Plissken with an eye patch and a guy like Captain Ron with an eye patch, that man can do anything.
Exactly.
By far.
Yep.
By far.
Yep.
On to the news. Kevin, you probably remember this. You were there for it. Prince Charles weds Princess Diana, and it was watched by 750 million people.
Whoa.
Worldwide. Global television audience.
Wow.
750 million people. But I'll put this question to both of you. Katie, I will prose it. What is this, a poem? I will pose it to you. Do you know what the #1 watched television show of all time here in the U.S.?
MASH?
You got it. It was MASH. 108 million average viewers on February 20th, 1983. Followed by #2, Gulf War coverage. Just random. Gulf War. Yeah,
wow.
Desert Storm, and then MASH.
Oh, my God.
The #1, including the Super Bowls. The Super Bowls take up the top 10, then MASH. But this recent Super Bowl, average viewers, 123,714,000 viewers. Thank you, Swifties.
That's great.
A lot of them had to be Swifties. I'm telling you, man, they brought a lot to the game. Speaking of games, a little video game news for you. Every now and then we like to throw in some video game news. 1981, we're talking Ataris and arcades, everybody. That's the good stuff. But Nintendo releases an arcade game. I don't know if you kids heard about it. Donkey Kong, created by Shigeru Miyamoto in Japan, and ended up becoming one of the juggernauts of the video game industry. We covered it here on the podcast, The King of Kong. We love you, Steve Wiebe.
It took me a second. I was like, we covered Donkey Kong?
Oh, we should. We love you, Steve Wiebe. Hey, Billy Mitchell, F you. Okay, pal? Just going to say that right now. What a cheat that guy was. But somebody who wasn't a cheat would be Kurt Loder. However, so we're just going to do a little music news. Talk to you about here, Casey Kasem. The song, ironically, in this movie, Escape from New York, the cabbie in his cab plays the theme song to American Bandstand, the Bandstand Boogie by Les Elgart. On this day, American Bandstand, Season 24, Episode 35, Carl Wilson of the Beach Boys performs Hold Me in Heaven on that episode of American Bandstand with Dick Clark.
Nice.
Katie, I don't know, when you were younger, I know here every now and then on a clear day, we would get Channel 5 out of Cleveland and they would show American Bandstand on the weekends. So I can remember, your mid-'80s hair metal type American Bandstand. Have you ever watched any episodes of American Bandstand, like when you were a kid, like in passing?
No, never seen it. My reference for American Bandstand is from the movie Can't Buy Me Love.
Yeah.
Where they watched the African Anteater dance. But I've never seen it.
I love the African Anteater ritual dance.
MTV had to have killed American Bandstand, right?
I mean, there was really no need to do a variety, but they ended up doing The Grind, which kind of was adjacent, sort of. A lot of Eric Nies. Dick Clark.
Welcome to The Grind.
That was the best. But one guy who should have been on American Bandstand definitely wasn't on The Grind. Mr. George Michael. Georgie boy.
Good evening, everybody. I'm George Michael, and welcome to The Sports Machine.
Kevin, we haven't covered cricket in a long time, and we still don't know what the hell the scoring system is. Katie, if you know cricket, please help us out here.
I cannot
Australia.
help you.
Yes, if you could. Because we Katie, we don't know
Look
how
at
to
all
even
of us Americans. We don't know cricket. Are you kidding?
We don't know cricket. In case we have Aussie fans down under, maybe they can help us out here. Australia set 130 to win, all out 111 at Headingley Willis 8-43.
Wait, so there were 19 Allura Dannons, and they went wicket on the willow.
What the hell is this? Australians out there, please, people that know cricket, please email us at the podcast and please explain to us what any of that meant. One of these days, it's going to be like a season 20 exclusive. We break down Don Bradman's cricket.
I'm sure people will be stoked.
I know. I can't wait till we do that Swim Meet Series cricket behind the scenes. But one thing we do know is Wimbledon, and John McEnroe ends Bjorn Borg's streak of 5 straight Wimbledon titles with a famous 4-6, 7-6, 7-6, 6-4 victory. We're big fans of Bjorn Borg.
Yeah.
Huge fans. Yep. Great. Good guy. The #1 television show in America at this time. I mean, you couldn't touch anything except Dallas. Dallas was the thing. I remember my grandmother monopolizing the television on those nights Dallas was on. It was Dallas, Dynasty, Falcons Crest. I had to sit through
Dallas
all 3
was Who
things.
Shot JR?
Yes, that was.
Yeah,
Who Shot
that
JR.
pulled in like an insane rating.
That was the television event, like besides the end of MASH, was Who Shot JR. I think it was wasn't like Bobby's cousin or something like that, Patrick Duffy's cousin. I have no idea.
I don't know.
I'm really pulling deep in the
It was
back of
Eric
my
Nies.
brain. Eric Nies
No, the
did it.
early,
I
you're
knew
right
it.
though. The early 80s were so dominated by the evening soap opera. And
They
I
were
was
the
like, why
best.
does this all sound familiar to me? Like all the things that you're talking about? It's because Escape from New York was released the exact same day as The Fox and the Hound, voiced
Dude.
Copper is
Russell.
Kurt Russell. And I covered that on my show and did a whole MTV segment along with it. But yeah, he had 2 movies released on the exact same day. And that's why all this sounds familiar to me. I'm like, that's why.
This works out good. This works out good. I'm a very old school, like Disney, like live action guy. Like I've told Kevin on the podcast before, I never got into Disney animated movies as a kid. The first thing I ever knew of Disney was live action, like the North Avenue Irregulars, Boatniks, and especially your Kurt Russell ones, your Computer Who Wore Tennis Shoes.
Really?
He did like 3 or 4 Disney movies where he played the same character,
And-
Dexter Riley.
And those movies almost prevented him from getting this role as Snake Plissken.
which is crazy.
Yep.
Because the studio was like, the Disney guy?
Yeah. You
So-
can't be
He's
an
too
action
squeaky
guy.
clean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you ever you've seen those, right, Katie?
I have not. No.
They came out a
Like I
couple
liked
years.
all the animated stuff. I feel like that was before our time. How did you see them?
This would have been, I think, his first Kurt Russell Disney movie. I think might have came out in 68, 69.
Mhm.
I can remember my mom going to like one of our local video stores and renting it like in the Disney white clamshell cases. But he did like 3 or 4 movies, but they all like, it was what the Computer Who Wore Tennis Shoes, the Invisible Man. He was always the same character. He played Dexter Riley. Incredible.
So circling back to the primetime soap operas, the interesting thing is that network TV now, I think, scramble a little bit as far as what to program.
Yeah.
They can't do that anymore. They do the nighttime game shows, like they do the evening version of Price is Right or whatever every once in a while. But those shows, soap operas, essentially evolved into what people are watching on Netflix, like Love is Blind and all
Yeah.
those X on the Beach and all those shows. Is essentially the equivalent of what in the 80s were nighttime soap operas.
Well, just like
Mhm.
everything is cyclical. Like we had network TV, we had 3 channels, 4 on a good day. Cable came around, eliminated network TV. And now streaming services come around, eliminated cable. But now all these streaming
Yeah.
services cost so damn much, it's now turning into cable.
Yep.
So it's one vicious cycle.
Yep.
Your #1 movie in America, one of my personal favorites as a Superman fan, The Favorite, Superman Part 2.
Okay.
Which was a great one. The Phantom Zone, General Zod. You get Bizarro, kind of. They don't mention him by name, but Christopher Reeve, still my favorite Superman. I hope this next guy, David Corninswet, who I'm unfamiliar of this guy's. Yeah, they're filming Superman Legacy. James Gunn is doing it. It's going to be the first movie back from the DC Rebirth. So basically, it's going to be I don't know if it's going to be a retelling again, but basically it's based on All-Star Superman, the comic, where you kind of have your traditional Superman and the actor who's playing him. Actually, they all look somewhat like Christopher Reeve adjacent, but his name's David Corninswet.
You gotta be careful
Never
here.
even
You're
heard of
saying
him.
rebirth, Corning's wet. All these words linked in a sentence together, getting a little weird.
And then we're talking Kurt Russell, and then it's like we're getting real sexy in here. I apologize, Katie, for your viewers. I'm sorry for getting a little inappropriate.
Oh, they have to listen to me go on and on about how gorgeous Kurt and Patrick are. So
Yeah. Don't worry. We will talk about how gorgeous Adrienne Barbeau is in this.
I had a feeling that would come up. She had a shirt just perfect for this movie.
I liked that shirt. It was a cool shirt.
It's a funny thing is, though, she wore those type of shirts all the time. She did it in Cannonball Run, so it's no big deal.
So was there ever a movie with Swayze? Was it the Pigman from PCU, I Can Stop Watching TV? Was there ever a Kurt Russell and Patrick Swayze movie where they were together?
No, and that's one of the biggest shames of all time because I think they should have played brothers. Kurt's like a year older, and they've got a similar look. Sure.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's one of those things we'll never. That sucks. It's the worst.
Mm-hmm.
But the one thing that isn't the worst. Next week we'll be doing our definitive '80s music draft. Make sure you check it out. But right now, July of 1981, your number one song in America, Kim Carnes. Bette Davis eyes. Great song.
This is the number one song of that whole year.
That was a damn good juggernaut.
Symbol.
Yeah. But then, just like the Buggles, the next month MTV came out. Video killed the radio star. Kim Carnes didn't really.
She did get We Are the World, though.
She did.
They did call her for We Are the World.
Dan Aykroyd, as we all know, the best person on that day.
I finally watched that documentary on Netflix. It's not really.
Really?
It's fine. You see some footage.
Serviceable.
Yeah, it's serviceable, but, they don't really fill in a lot of the gaps in the information. They don't once mention the most epic party of all time.
Yeah.
Which is where they rented out the space for all the spouses and girlfriends and boyfriends and managers, where they were just partying all night and watching it via satellite TV.
I mean, the coolest thing ever.
It would have been amazing.
Katie, are you're familiar with the music video and everything with that, correct?
With what?
With We Are the World.
With We Are the World?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do you, off the top of your head, I know I'm putting you on the spot here, do you have a guy that sticks out or a female performer in that song? Do you think, wow, that one, they kill it?
I mean, it's not fresh in my mind, so...
For me, it's always Michael Jackson or Huey Lewis.
Steve Perry's really great in it.
Eddie Murphy in that one? Or what
Weirdly enough...
No, it is a little weird that Eddie Murphy's not there.
Because he just had Party all the time, and he knew Rick James.
And Dan Aykroyd's there, though.
Yeah, but Dan Aykroyd is there in the background. It's the weirdest damn thing ever. And that's all that was going on July of 1981, approximately 2 months before I was born. Back to you.
So in Germany, the translation made Snake Plissken rattlesnake.
Ah, yes, it's a rattlesnake, Snake Plissken.
In Italy, he was hyena. So he's a different species. He's the different species.
I just pissed off every German, every Italian.
Careful.
I apologize.
And then finally...
Which makes no sense because hyenas aren't Italian.
No, exactly.
It's not even like an Italian animal.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, that too. Not Italian animal. Hyena, snake. No.
And I come from an Italian family. I never heard once around the dinner table, hey, I can't wait till we go on a hyena hunt.
Hyena Plissken. And Jim, please don't do this impression, but in South Korea,
I don't know.
He was Cobra.
Oh, what is he, Marion Cobretti?
I don't know.
Okay, that's cool.
So,
rattlesnake. That does track because it's a cobra on his
abdomen, the
right?
tattoo on.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That tattoo was always, I'm just like, that's the weirdest placement for a snake tattoo. I mean, yeah.
All right, let's escape the plot. In 1988, the U.S. is at war against an allied China and Soviet Union. There's a 400% increase in crime, so the U.S. government turns Manhattan into a maximum security prison, inescapable and closed off from the outside world. 9 years later, Air Force One is hijacked by a terrorist, while President John Harker...
You never hear his name.
No.
But good president named bad president.
I like the name President John Harker.
Okay.
But it's the fact you put Donald Pleasant's voice behind the name John Harker.
Yeah.
But real quick, Kevin, what is Air Force One's call sign, though? Initially, you don't know it's Air Force One. It is David 14.
Oh.
Yeah, just the weirdest name to call Air Force One. Hey, Dave.
So John Harker's aboard on his way to a peace summit. The president enters an escape pod with a briefcase handcuffed to him. The escape pod drops him into Manhattan as Air Force One crashes. Police are going to go in and rescue the president, but Manhattan is ran by the Duke. The Duke says that the president has been captured and will be killed if they try and come get him. Meanwhile, Special Forces soldier Snake Plissken is going to be sent to Manhattan for robbing the Federal Reserve. Police Commissioner Bob Hawke offers a deal to Snake that if he can extract the president in time for the summit, Snake will receive a presidential pardon.
Why not?
Exactly.
Yeah, why not?
And to make sure Snake complies, he's been injected with micro explosives. Implanted, that's a better word.
Yeah.
That will sever his carotid arteries in 22 hours.
It's that 1997 tech, man.
The only way for these to be neutralized is for Snake to be successful in his mission. Snake gets into Manhattan by landing a glider on the World Trade Center. He has a tracker, which he follows to a theater. But what do we want to call this guy? A vagrant has the tracker.
Yeah.
But are you really a vagrant if you're in Manhattan? I mean,
you're just a prisoner.
Yeah.
Kind of.
So Snake radios Hawk to tell him that he thinks, based on evidence, the president's probably dead. Snake then gets ambushed and his radio is destroyed. He gets rescued by Cabby, who, you're not going to believe this, drives a cab.
No, wait a minute. Hold on. His name's Cabby.
Cabby.
He drives a cab.
Drives a cab.
Ernest Borgnine, baby.
Yep. The role was written for him. They were like, we want Ernest Borgnine in this whole.
That's awesome.
Cabby introduces Snake to Brain, who is an associate of Duke responsible for making fuel and filling up the cars in the city. Brain tells Snake that Duke's plan is to use the president as a human shield to lead a mass escape across 69th Street Bridge. Snake makes Brain and his girlfriend Maggie take him to Duke, where he gets shot in the leg by a crossbow bolt. Snake is then forced to fight Duke's champion, Slag.
Yeah, Ox Baker.
Which he does while Brain and Maggie try to flee with the president in Snake's glider. However, what even happens to the glider? Like the other residents of Manhattan, do they push it off?
I think there were people that saw him land, or there were some people already living in the North. I think it was the North Tower, and they just pushed it over the side.
Okay, they push it over the side and it falls. However, glider's dropped off a roof. The president demands Snake give him a cassette that Snake got from Cabby. It contains nuclear secrets and is intended to be a peace offering at the summit.
Yeah, because I like to put my secrets on a Memorex tape.
On a cassette.
Yeah.
Maxell.
Why did he need the briefcase? It's a cassette tape. Put it in your pocket.
That's
why
perfect.
Why does he put it in a briefcase and handcuff it to himself?
It's a lot. It's a little too much for just a cassette tape.
And it's easy for me to read that and find a plot summary. It's a little harder to deduce that while you're watching this movie.
Oh my God.
That's true.
So much going on.
Yes.
Yeah.
All you can kind of figure out is, okay, president lands in Manhattan. They're taking this Snake guy. They're sending him into Manhattan to get the president, and he's only got a day to do it. You don't really know what's going on with the papers and the cassette. And
it's a lot.
The Duke and all these other people.
Well, they cut out a lot.
There's a lot of lore.
There's a lot of stuff they cut out lore-wise.
So the Duke chases them to the bridge where Brain and Maggie end up dying. Brain on a mine and with Brain dead. I didn't mean for that. Brain dead, but Brain has died and Maggie sacrifices herself to slow down Duke. They reach the containment wall where the president is extracted. Duke has Snake dead to rights, but then the president shoots and kills Duke. Snake is extracted. The explosive device in his neck is neutralized. The president prepares to go on air for a speech to the summit leaders. He gives Snake kind of like a half-ass thank you.
Oh, he writes him off. He's like, whatever, pal. Thanks.
Hawk offers Snake a job. The president plays the cassette during his speech, but embarrassingly realizes Snake swapped it. It's Cabby's favorite song. And as Snake walks away, he destroys the real cassette. All right, characters. Katie's favorite, Kurt Russell as Lieutenant SD Snake Plissken.
Do we know what the SD stands for?
No.
I don't think they ever disclose what SD stands for.
So the company that financially backed the film, which is AVCO Embassy Pictures, they wanted Charles Bronson, which
all right,
I think Carpenter based this movie off like Charles Bronson movie. I think specifically Death Wish.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But I think he probably told the studio it's kind of like Death Wish. So the studio was just like Charles Bronson.
Or Chuck Norris.
Chuck Norris was also on there. And the
Facing
third,
USA.
Tommy Lee Jones.
Oh, man.
Interesting.
I
Davy
also
Jones.
read Nick Nolte and Jeff Bridges were approached for it, but they were not interested. And Bronson was 60 years old at the time.
He was already old Bronson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although he looked old even when he was young, but yes.
Yeah.
Can you imagine Nick Nolte in that role? God damn it, Hulk. I gotta go get the president. Ah, damn it.
A young Nick Nolte is different.
Like 48 hours
It's
Nick
wild.
Nolte is
Yeah.
right there, so it's good.
Yeah.
Okay, we leave Lee Van Cleef as Police Commissioner Bob Hawke, Ernest Borgnine as cabbie, Donald Pleasance as President John Harker, Isaac Hayes as the Duke with the chandeliers or the lamps on
On the
his
front
car.
of his Cadillac.
Oh,
yeah.
it's the
Awesome.
best.
Yeah.
Susan Hubley as Girl and Chock Full of Nuts is what she's billed as. Harry Dean Stanton as Brain, Adrienne Barbeau in her cool t-shirt as
Oh,
Maggie.
Great t-shirt.
My favorite, Tom Adkins as Captain of the Police.
Yeah, man
He's
of
already-
action.
It's so weird that Tom Adkins pops up in like so many of these 80s movies for just like a couple minutes.
Yeah, it's like him, Dick Miller, Kurt Fuller, Rick Dukeman.
All right. And then anybody else? Ox Baker played Slag. He was a professional wrestler.
Yep.
The narrator at the beginning of the film, uncredited, Jamie Lee Curtis.
Okay, makes perfect
Mhm.
sense.
All right. So which actor or actress gives a passable performance as any non-lead character steal scenes?
Katie, who do you got?
Who'd you like in this one?
I really liked Hawk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what's interesting, I don't know why, I just really like, I was really drawn any scenes that he was in, like obviously aside from Snake Plissken, but Lee Van Cleef.
Yep.
And I was reading that they had him for one day only.
Dude,
Like they
that's
shot
insane.
all of his scenes in a single day, and that he had, I don't know if it was a surgery or like some sort of an injury that required him, like if he was standing, he had to be leaning on something, or a lot of his scenes were sitting
Wow.
because he had an injury. So yeah, but I don't know, his look, I really liked him.
He was like a real vet because like he had done he had like 150 movies or something on his filmography.
Did a ton.
He had done like going back to like High Noon. He'd done about a bunch of westerns, and then I think he kind of eased into this type of movie. Like I think he was in Chuck Norris Octagon.
Yeah.
And he's in a bunch of stuff like that. So
Now, Hawk, the character, did him and Pliskin serve together?
I don't know, but I do think Hawk maybe was a little sympathetic to Pliskin.
Well, I think like when he first brings him in, he said, I think he won the Golf Star for flying over Leningrad or something like
They
that.
said something like you flew over Leningrad.
He had gotten
Yeah.
like Purple Hearts and stuff too, didn't he? Like he
Yeah.
was a very decorated.
Yeah, I think you're right
Did I
about
make
that. I
that?
just can't remember the exact like minutia of what he got. Kevin, what you go for?
So I obviously love Adrienne Barbeau, but honestly, she's great in this.
She's
because
excellent.
she's like
She's a badass.
at this time you only had like Pam Grier and
Yeah,
you
that's
had like
true.
Ripley and Alien.
Well, here's the thing, like Sigourney Weaver, Adrienne Barbeau, it proved that you could be a sexy woman
Yes.
who can show their assets, if you will, but not just be the you
True.
can be the badass ass kicker, and she's amazing.
She was,
in this.
but in all seriousness, I did pick Harry Dean Stanton. I love Harry Dean Stanton.
He's in
and
everything.
He is
but
in everything.
as Brain, and honestly, maybe it's a logic issue, but Harry Dean Stanton and Adrienne Barbeau are a couple in this one. Good for him.
Yeah.
Well, no.
Good.
Well, maybe because I'm a woman, I took note of this. Someone said when they're introduced to them as a couple, they say something like, the Duke gave her to him to keep him happy.
Okay.
So like she
Oh.
was a gift.
Okay,
And I'm like,
that
ew,
that
I don't
tracks.
like that.
Yeah, that's
Oh, it's how old was Harry Dean Stanton in this movie was what, 28?
probably
Looked 98.
probably.
Just like every movie he ever did. You're like, God damn, he has
He was
to
born
be
in
old.
1926.
Get the hell out of here. Are you serious?
Yeah.
Wow.
Holy shit.
So he was quite old already, actually.
So I'm picking. No, go ahead, Katie.
Oh, I was just going to suggest on the same vein. So John Carpenter, I don't know how old he was, but he's not known for being a big looker.
Right.
No.
He was married to Adrienne
Yeah.
Barbeau at the time.
Yep.
Like they
Good
were an
on him.
actual couple. As were Kurt and Susan Hubley.
Yep.
The girl who plays the Choco
The
Nuts
Choco
girl.
Nuts.
Yeah.
And they had
That's
just had their baby. Like they had just had their, I
Yeah.
don't know if they just have
It-
one kid together.
No, that well,
Or their
actually, I don't
son.
know. Yeah, they're
Boston,
his first
anyway.
kid. Yep.
Mhm.
This is going to be a random poll, but is Season Hubley related to Whip Hubley, the guy who played Hollywood in Top Gun?
I doubt it, but
'Cause
I'll look that up.
Hubley is not like the biggest.
Tell us who you liked in this movie. and
Okay,
I'll
so
look that up.
who I picked, it's Adrienne Barbeau. She's just a badass. She compliments Brain really, really well.
Sister.
Yes.
No
So, wow.
way.
Yeah.
Good call.
My head
Good
is
call,
full.
Jim.
My head is full of useless bullshit, so I figured I'd somehow figure it out. But yeah, it's Adrienne Barbeau she's one of those like actresses that was always, I loved everything she was in. Like growing up, she's just the epitome of a badass in this movie. Like she keeps Brain in check, and then she decides to sacrifice herself in the end after Brain dies. So she does care about him. But just like every action movie, we get the trope. Nobody can aim a gun for shit.
No.
You miss every single shot. But Adrienne Barbeau, tremendous in this movie. I loved her.
Did
All
you
right,
watch
let's move on.
Maude? If you liked
no,
her,
I've
she
not.
played Maude's daughter.
I've never seen Maude. Was that the TV show?
It was a TV show with B. Arthur plays Maude.
That's right. I confused it with Vicki Lawrence, Older Woman,
Mama's
Family. I confused that. Yeah, I confused that.
But Adrienne Barbeau plays her daughter in that show.
Okay, that's awesome.
B. Arthur, outstanding. Jim, why don't we move on to best scenes? And Katie, what scene stood out on watching Escape from New York for the first time?
Yeah, it's a little wild. Like it's kind of a wild ride of a movie. A few that stood out to me, not really a scene, but just a sequence when we're introduced to Duke's car. I was like, wow, this is a whole vibe we've got going on with chandeliers affixed to the front of a car and a disco ball.
Yeah. So badass.
And then also I really liked the gladiator style fight in the boxing ring I don't recall them saying his name, but you guys said it.
Slag.
Slag.
I don't think they ever said it in the movie itself.
No,
just like
it is
John
another
Harper.
thing in this movie that asks you to do, like, to pay attention, basically, because if this were a current movie, they would have whole introduction, a lot of exposition to explain exactly why Duke has a champion in the first place.
Yeah.
I mean, there must be some sort of common punishment for people who mess up in Manhattan.
And I'm the idiot who would prefer this movie to be like 5 or 6 hours long. They would have
Yes.
all the backstory. Just so
That's what I want. I need so much more. Like, who is Duke? Why is he in power?
Why is he a number one?
Yeah. How did he force somebody to make this car for him with the chandeliers on it?
Exactly. I want to know the backstory.
Yeah, I mean,
So
this society has like theatrical performances. Like it's a whole prisoner society.
Yeah.
Well,
So
if you ever like doing background, the novelization of this movie fills in the plot holes. Like you find out that the Third World War is like what Kevin brought up. It's a Soviet-Chinese alliance. There was some sort of agreement that the president made with the leaders of those countries not to have a nuclear war, but they had an all-out nerve gas war. So the country was laid waste with nerve gas. But somehow the biggest city in the country becomes a penal colony. I mean, we'll talk more about it in Logic, and I got a lot of it.
Okay.
But yeah, it's very interesting. Kevin, you
So
go next.
I'll go first. I'll just say the vibes. So we get the cool John Carpenter synth score.
Oh, it's so good.
And like, we're kind of just here to meet all of these characters within the streets of Manhattan. Like, it's grimy, it's cool. And for a while, this movie's kind of like, oh, who's this guy? What's his deal?
It's like almost cyberpunk.
Oh, look at this. Like, we're meeting this guy. Oh, here's a guy in a cab. How's he have a cab? Like, we're just here for the ride, watching all these events unfold until shit really hits the fan. And then, we kind of jump gear into our plot a little bit more.
So my first one is right when Snake agrees to go to the island. He injects them with the toxins, the time-release toxins, the power of 1997.
87.
Now, huh?
Oh, 97.
Yeah, it'd be 97. And then the doctor stops and goes, tell him what you just did. And then Snake and Hawk have this back and forth. They're always jawing with each other. And Hawk literally thinks Snake's going to run off because he escaped from Cleveland. He escaped from Kansas City. I still want to see a prequel where I don't care, have his son be Snake Plissken because they look one and the same. Show me how he escaped from Cleveland.
Yeah. Well, they talk in Escape from LA, Katie, mild spoilers. Every time like you meet a new character, it's kind of like, how'd you get out of Cleveland?
Yeah.
Everybody's like, oh, I heard about you getting out of Cleveland. You made it up to Cleveland.
Okay.
So
that makes more sense.
something happened with Cleveland after New York before LA.
Yeah. And it probably would have been better if they would have done something with Cleveland instead of waiting 15 years to go to LA.
So we briefly mentioned it. The president escaping Air Force One in the escape pod.
I got so much logic on that scene.
Yeah.
We'll save it.
I'll save it.
Okay. He tucks himself into this little like
orange circular pod.
Yeah, with the briefcase, and then he just shoots himself out of the plane. We'll talk about that in logic. Back to Katie's first best scene. Snake being forced to fight Slag in a death match. So Snake had been shot in the leg with a crossbow.
No sold it.
So he was going to be fighting at a disadvantage. Like if he wasn't already, because he's fighting this giant.
Yeah.
And then Snake has a spiked bat, which he hits Slag in the back of the head with a spiked bat.
No blood.
And exactly. And then the crowd is kind of like in disbelief for just a moment. They don't really react, but then they start chanting for Snake.
Yeah.
And then all melee breaks loose because Brain and Maggie have tried to escape, take the president.
Well, it's perfect gladiatorial things where, I mean, look at the movie Gladiator. We talked about it. We eventually want to cover it. Where, all the slaves are considered garbage. You don't want to root them on. Then all of a sudden, Maximus comes out of nowhere and starts screwing up the bread and circuses of the games. And next thing you know, they're cheered. They did the same thing in this. Katie, what's your next one?
The end when
it's so good.
Yeah, like I'm like trying to pick it apart, but there's a whole series of sequences at the end that's just pretty cool. It sets it up for a sequel. But I love how throughout the movie, Hawk says Plissken. He refers to Snake as Plissken.
Yeah.
And he back to him says, it's Snake. And then at the end, when he's trying to convince him to come work for him, he finally calls him Snake. And now Snake says, the name's Plissken.
Yeah.
And he walks off. Yeah.
Kurt Russell is so damn good in this movie.
He's just
so
a cool
badass.
dude.
He is.
Well, the whole build up. So we find out the Duke's plan was that he was going to take the president, use him as a human shield to cross this bridge and escape Manhattan. But so Brain and Maggie are doing that. The bridge is like lined with explosives.
It's mined.
And
Brain somehow I think he made a map where he thinks all the mines where they're located.
Right.
That's right. He did.
So Brain and Maggie both die in the process. They reach the wall, and immediately all they care about, let's get the president.
Yeah.
So then Duke catches him because he's following, and the president's already gone. These people don't care if the Duke kills Snake.
No.
But then the president, first thing he does, grabs a gun, he blows away the Duke.
I love the shot of you have the president going up the wall. Then they show a shot going down the bridge. And then you see Isaac Hayes just emerging from the darkness in that very, very dictatorial, straightforward run. And he proceeds to miss every damn shot.
Yeah, right.
The Duke is not a number one when it comes to target practice.
Mm-hmm.
So
they torture him.
Oh, he's horrible. So I want to continue with yours, Katie, too. So we go continuing to the end where, like we said, the president gives this half-ass, basically, thank you, young man, for saving me.
Yeah.
You want a handshake? A hot dog and a handshake in wrestling parlance. Basically the same thing. But then, all of a sudden, he's live to the world. I have the tape, a cassette tape for nuclear fusion.
Yeah.
We're going to save the world with nuclear fusion. On this cassette tape, I got a Goodwill.
Hey,
That
this
we
is
still see.
Spandau Ballet, or I guess in '97, I don't know who with Ace of Base. That was too early.
No, it would have been Prodigy.
Yeah, Prodigy.
It would have been Prodigy. It would have been
Firestarter.
This isn't Firestarter. But as he's ready to, he has that pious dictatorial look. Like, here, I'm going to spread this to the entire world. I'm going to save the world. Then all of a sudden, the bandstand boogie pops up, and then Snake with a dart in his mouth, walking off, just pulling the tape out and basically saying, fuck it.
Where do we think Snake's going from here?
Ooh.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't really know what his situation was prior to the movie, except for he had just robbed the National Reserve. So, but you got to think he's got some sort of domicile to return to.
Every movie like this that has some sort of war footing that involves us, there always seems to be a Canadian safe haven.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming he's going north.
He's probably got somebody he knows, and he just, he heads north
Well,
for
he's
a
pardoned
rendezvous.
now, so he doesn't have to go north.
That's true.
That's a good point. That's right.
So maybe he stops. I feel like he needs a drink at this point.
Yeah.
He stops
God,
at a
yeah.
tavern or something and figures out his next move.
And
while he
then
has
what
a
you
whiskey.
And then what you could subtly mention is he's like, I really should make my way out west one of these days. Like somebody says it in passing. There's stuff going down in LA. Maybe.
Yeah.
That's what
Well,
you
we
do.
know he ends up in Cleveland.
He does.
We know so
Yeah. It's one of the top murder capitals of the
he
world.
goes south.
Yeah.
I'm assuming he's not trying to go to Cleveland. He's probably passing through Cleveland to go
Even in
further south.
1981 real life, dystopia 1997, nobody ever wanted to go to
No.
Cleveland.
Oh,
We live an hour from it. We never wanted to go to Cleveland.
yeah. No, Cleveland's
Really?
changed a lot.
Yeah.
Oh,
Back,
I've never been to Ohio ever.
things have drastically changed
Yeah.
now. Like Cleveland, they've put a lot of money into Cleveland. Youngstown's gotten way better over the years.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think in a weird way, sports kind of helped. Like we're Browns
Yeah.
fans, we're diehard Browns
yeah.
fans.
I
then-
think cities like Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Youngstown, and
Mhm.
Detroit even had
Yeah.
to say like, all right, the steel's gone. It's not coming
Yeah,
back.
Steel
The auto
Cities.
We got to do something.
The auto plants went under.
Yeah, we've got to like revitalize. We've got to like figure this out.
Mhm.
Youngstown, where we're from, is mostly built around a state university,
Yeah.
which is quite large. But it's actually I think it's a decent area, very affordable living. It's got everything anywhere else does.
And a lot of like film companies are coming into film in Cleveland
Yeah.
because the Avengers did that because they got tax breaks. Speaking of
Oh.
Superman and David Cornyn's Wet.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, great name. They got a $1.5 billion break
They just
to
announced
film.
something else they're filming in Cleveland.
Yeah.
Another huge.
Well, it makes perfect sense with Superman. Superman was created in Cleveland.
Oh, it
so-
is Superman.
It is Superman. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's Cleveland though. In the 80s,
Oh,
there was nothing.
I mean,
there was blight. It
Katie,
was
we were notorious for the Cuyahoga River caught fire.
catching on fire. Exactly.
Because of
It
all
was-
the pollution or whatnot.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Oh,
Oh
yeah.
my. Oh wow. That's
It was-
Literally caught on fire. Burn on Big River. The song is
Yeah.
about.
oh the
What's his
80s.
name?
Oh yeah, that does track deregulation and all that.
Yep.
That
Thanks,
tracks.
Reagan.
Yep.
Yeah. So I think
Yeah.
that Snake probably was on his way further somewhere south and
Yeah.
got hung up in Cleveland a little bit.
Yeah, he got hung up.
All right. No pool in this one. I don't think the Duke had like a nice in-ground pool set up. Maybe there's a YMCA somewhere down there in Manhattan.
The world went to shit. The country just got nerve gassed, but somehow, some way, somehow, there was a YMCA with a pool that the president could use.
There you go.
There we go.
So let's get out of the pool. So we found out that if you did something, if you screwed up in some way, he made you fight Slag. But apparently, if you did something good in favor of the Duke, he let you use the YMCA pool for a day. So, we're going to be talking our favorite songs of 1981.
Yeah.
These aren't definitive. They're not the best selling. Just our favorites, ones we want to mention.
No
And
science, just personal
I'm
feelings.
curious to see if anyone selects what was the number one song of the. Actually, fuck, we already mentioned it was Betty
Kim Carnes,
Davis,
yeah.
Eyes by Kim Carnes.
Yeah.
I was gonna do like a Pee-wee's Playhouse like secret word of the day thing, but
Yeah.
it was Betty Davis Eyes. So, Katie, give us your first favorite song of 1981.
Well, 1981, first off, especially the summer of 81, spectacular, might I say.
Oh, yeah.
But Jesse's Girl, Rick Springfield.
Yes.
Yeah.
Did either of you have that in yours?
I have Jesse's Girl is number 5 on my list. I got Jesse's Girl there.
Yeah, we did a definitive 80s music draft, and
Well, not yet.
it's coming out before
Oh,
this.
God,
so,
that's right. Hold on.
So-
Dumb.
Podcast math.
There we
yes,
go.
podcast math, exactly. But yeah, I mean, Rick Springfield, Jesse's Girl. So the song took
Definitive.
19 weeks to hit number one. And then it was the #1 song on the Billboard Hot 100 when MTV launched.
Yeah.
Which that's a pretty cool thing to hang your hat on.
And it helped that he was on General Hospital, correct? Rick Springfield at the time?
He was on something.
I think he was on
one
General
of the
Hospital.
soaps.
Cocaine.
I don't know
I think
which
that
one.
who wasn't on cocaine back then? I mean, everybody was.
So the funny thing about the song, though, is it's a true story.
Yeah.
He wrote it about, he was doing a stained glass class with his friend Gary.
So random.
And it's
Yeah, that's
literally
super
about
random.
Gary's girlfriend.
He just
But he
changed it to
changed
Jesse.
Gary to Jesse. And the reason
Sounds
he
better.
changed his name to Jesse is because Gary was wearing a shirt with a NFL football player, Ron Jesse, on it.
Okay.
So he literally was like Gary, Jesse, Jesse's girl.
Could you imagine? Gary is a friend. I know I could have
That's
Gary's
pretty good.
girl. No, it doesn't work.
Gary's girl doesn't work.
No, Gary's girl, not at all.
No,
Kev.
it's pretty spectacular. I mean, they still play it on the radio all the time.
Oh,
all the
it's-
time.
Oh, it's catchy as hell.
Insane.
It has stood the test of time.
And I will forever link that song with, I don't know what it is, but to me, they're synonymous. 867-5309 by Tommy Two Tone.
Oh yeah.
Those songs
Dude,
are just
that's another one on my list.
okay.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry to
For
spoil
81.
it, but yeah, that's
Hey.
just those songs are married.
Again, yeah. Famous.
So good.
My number 5, I go completely off the beaten path just for a reason to talk about something different. I go with Oak Ridge Boys, Elvira,
Whoa.
because I can only imagine the amount of drunken white boy dancing that occurred in garages to this song in the early 80s.
Oh, I agree.
I can just hear it. I hear this song. I can just picture like white jeans, shirtless, like dude in the garage getting drunk. But this song's actually a cover of a 1966 Dallas Frazier song. And Oak Ridge Boys sold over 2 million copies of Elvira.
Yike.
It
Lot
was
of
a
dancing
cover of
white
another
boys.
song.
It was a
That's
cover of a
wild.
1966 song, yeah.
Well, unlike last week when we talked about the Zootons and
Yeah.
Amy Winehouse,
Yep.
where it literally was, she did Valerie with Mark Ronson, went to #1, but it was a cover from a song from the one
Year prior.
1 year prior by the Zootons called Valerie, but it was slower. But the Ronson mix made, and Amy Winehouse was, I mean,
And now people probably
Amazing.
hear the Zootons version and they're like, man, this song sucks.
sucks.
This is a shitty version of Amy Winehouse.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. So, like I said, my number 5 was also Jesse's Girl by
Oh.
far. It's Ring Spring. But here's a weird thing, and I'm opening myself up to ridicule. I do it quite constantly on this show. I put Rick Springfield synonymously with John Cougar Mellencamp.
Why?
I don't know, but as a kid, for the longest time, I put Cougar and Rick Springfield together. But most people would put Cougar and Springsteen together.
I can't. What John
Mhm.
Cougar Mellencamp is synonymous with me is sucking on a chili dog.
Yeah, we need to talk about that. Really? Who for the longest time I also thought it was behind the Tasty Free. I never knew it was Tasty Freeze.
Tasty Freeze.
Freeze. I stand corrected. But I've never once in my entire life said, "Hey Kev, let me go suck on some chili dogs behind
No.
the Tasty Freeze."
No.
What?
So I follow this account.
You're gonna
and
choke.
They post a lot of really bad music. It's called Catatonic Utes. They go to the depths of YouTube to find like a lot of the stuff I show you, honestly.
Yeah.
But a while back they posted, they found like 200 covers of people playing that song is Jack and Diane,
Oh yeah.
of people covering Jack and Diane, but then they take out just the sucking on a chili dog, and it's a super cut of like 200
Oh my god.
sucking on a chili dog.
So they remove that entire line from sucking on behind a Tasty Free. They just move on.
It's sucking on chili dog like 200 times. Because it's so weird to hear how people like enunciate and interpret that in
Yeah.
the cover. It's a weird lyric.
I don't get it.
Sucking on a
is.
chili dog.
No.
But back in the day, I don't know. Maybe it wasn't as weird as it is now.
That's
I'm
something I
trying
have to
to-
ask my. That's something I have to
Trying
ask
to
my
find
dad.
a reason.
My dad's 75. I don't know how I can broach that. Be like, hey, pops, you ever suck on a chili dog?
But we have a kind of a legendary hot dog spot here in
We do.
town,
Mm.
Yeah,
which
we
has
do.
taken a nosedive, honestly, since the owners changed,
Yeah, it has.
which is sacrilege. But
yeah,
I'm gonna go in there tomorrow and I'm gonna say, I'm kind of just looking for something to suck on, and I
all the damn.
they're gonna call the police. I'm gonna say John Cougar Mellencamp did it.
Yeah, I just want to sit
Mhm.
behind here and suck on a chili dog.
I want to go out back. and I'm gonna suck on something.
Yeah. Don't say you go back. You want to suck on something. That's a whole different
you might
connotation.
meet someone there.
Exactly.
Katie, your number 4, your next one.
Take It on the Run, REO Speedwagon.
REO Speedwagon.
Again, you can sing along to that all day, every day.
Oh, REO Speedwagon was so damn good. This finished number 35 on the top Billboard 100 for 81. We've said this on the show. Kevin Cornyn, not the biggest looker in the world, but dude had pipes and man could he sing.
So one of the things I like about a lot of these songs we're talking about is, again, MTV launched in 81 and
August 1st.
People didn't really know the medium. I mean, there were music videos that predated MTV.
Yeah.
But like no one really knew how to successfully market or make a music video.
Well, most of those were just concert footage.
Yeah, a lot of them were just
That's
concert
all it was.
footage.
Yeah.
REO Speed, this song had a music video that I distinctly remember.
So my number 4, Kool and the Gang, Celebration. First off,
hate it.
I thought, you hate that song? Is it because it's cliche?
I hate it too. I hate it too.
Shit.
I
Damn it.
would like to say it's because I used to shoot special events as a videographer, and they play it at every wedding, at every special event. But I honestly don't even think that's it. I think it's just something about the vibes of the song.
Now, I will say, Katie, you don't know, but I was a DJ for 10 years, so I did weddings. I did like over 100 weddings and stuff like that. I will say I never once ever played Kool and the Gang Celebration for anything. I tried, like I would have meetings with brides and grooms and I'd get their feel, what kind of music they like. Sometimes I would kind of push them aside from certain songs, like this being one of them, like the hacky cliche songs. Like when I first started DJing, I would do bars on the weekends too. And the one place I DJ'd at said, "Hey, could you close the night out with Closing Time by Semisonic?" I'm like, oh, Jesus. I was like, that is so, like, it's a hack song. Everybody does that. But Celebration, I can say I never did. I just always liked this song. So I'm in the minority here.
You know who else liked that song?
Oh, shit.
Was obviously Bob Geldof.
Oh.
Because Kool and the Gang was in Do They Know It's Christmas by Band-Aid.
Yeah.
And they're very out of place to me.
Yeah.
Just like, I don't know, U2 and Boomtown Rats and Kool and the Gang.
But we have our issues with Bob Geldof.
We do.
We have a lot of issues with Bob Geldof.
Has to do with chili dogs. My number 4 is Devo Whip It.
Oh, yeah.
Devo's from Akron.
Yeah.
But
really?
the reason I pick them, their 1978 debut album, Are We Not Men? We Are Devo. One of the greatest albums of all time. Whip It's not their best song, but again, it gives me a chance to talk about it. Mark Mothersbaugh. Devo's founded by 2 pairs of brothers. So there was the Mothersbaugh brothers and another set of brothers. But Mark Mothersbaugh believed the song performed well because people falsely believed it was about sadomasochism or masturbation, when in reality, it's basically just nonsense. It's a satirical take on American optimism.
Sucking on chili dogs, whipping your junk, stuff
really?
like that.
It doesn't mean anything?
It doesn't really mean anything.
Shocking.
Yeah, it's just, again, it's like a satirical take on how optimistic Americans were at the time. So.
I can picture that video. MTV video.
It was a really good, like, early 80s music video.
They weren't doing their part to make people think it wasn't about sadomasochism with the whips and stuff. And then they whip a cigarette out of somebody's mouth, I think.
If I can remember, Mark Mothersbaugh also created
the Rugrats theme?
Yeah, the Rugrats theme.
Oh.
Yeah. All these,
you do have a lot of useless knowledge.
I'm full of useless shit. It helps I have Kevin to bounce off of.
These 80s icons like Danny Elfman went on to do scores, and then Mark Mothersbaugh went on to score a bunch of music and do themes. And then following in their footsteps, which I guarantee that Danny Elfman was probably a pretty big influence to Trent Reznor. But now you have Trent Reznor and, Nine Inch Nails going on to score movies and win Oscars. So it's just what you do, I guess. Naturally, if you're a weird band, you just go on and do music scores or movie scores.
Very eccentric. So my next one,
it would be Katie.
Oh, Katie, my bad. You go.
Oh, really? A tiny little song called "Start Me Up" by the Rolling Stones.
Snort me up.
Yeah, all mine are like they stand the test of time. They're like still
Yes.
like they're huge. But Start Me Up, I feel like that they play that at sporting events a lot
Yes.
Yeah.
now. So is that, do you guys not like it because of that?
No,
Is it overdone?
To me, I will always associate this song with the Windows 95 launch because when I know this, Katie, I told you, that's just some random shit. When Windows 95 came out, because that was the big thing. We're not in Windows 3.11 anymore. We're upgrading to Windows 95. So Microsoft paid the licensing right and literally blasted the airwaves with Start Me Up so much to the point I'm like, oh, I can no longer like this song. Like, you guys don't like Celebration. I do not like this song.
My dad was a big Rolling Stones fan, and so I always tried to appreciate them just because it's what my dad liked. But I'm pretty sure that Start Me Up originally was called Never Stop. Never Stop instead of Start Me Up.
Okay.
And it goes,
but the lyric is in there.
Yeah.
When you start me up, you never stop.
Yeah.
And then, so then I think it goes back to like the mid 70s, and Rolling Stones experimented a lot in the 70s with reggae, which a lot of bands did. So, but yeah, I always think of it as Snort Me Up.
And maybe this is weird, but I'm also in this group where when a band announces a retirement tour, it's over. Okay, they're on their 8th or 9th retirement run, and I get it. People are buying the tickets, so I mean, why not?
It's impressive, but like, is this what they want to do? I mean, I dream of retirement someday, but then again, I'm not a rock star.
It's true.
I actually think it is for them because they've been a band for 50 years. Like no one else can say that. And they have it as such. They play what they want, when they want. And they have like a setup at hotels and the planes and everything where their families are all coming with them a lot. So they get to visit wherever with their families. And they're all like clean now and like in better shape than I am. They're like 80. So I think for them, this is what they want to be doing.
Okay.
Keith Richards is a modern miracle for science. Like, that dude has so much drugs running through those veins that somehow he has stayed together. And I wouldn't say he's aged gracefully. Keith Richards could be 127 years old, but shit, he is still alive. I don't know how.
He's
I think
studied
it's a
for
pickled
science.
situation.
Yeah,
It's gotta be.
Well, it reminds me of like when Macho Man got bit by the venomous snake and the snake died.
Yeah, it's true.
That's like the Keith Richards thing. Like,
you're right. Yeah,
the dude just he's evolved beyond drugs. Like, and I also think he probably has like a Mad Max blood boy.
Yeah,
who just is there to be like drained, and Keith Richards gets a transfusion on the spot.
He's gonna live forever.
He is.
I hope he does.
All.
Cheers.
Richards and Keith Richards will survive a nuclear war. So my number 3 is one of the best duets of all time. It's Lionel Richie, Diana Ross. Get your skates together, everybody. 25-cent Pac-Man machines, free hot dogs at the concession stand. It's couple skate time. It's Endless Love.
Yeah.
And this was made even more popular in Happy Gilmore.
Yep.
On the ice skating rink to Endless Love. Oh my God.
Lionel Richie's performance in that song, the just the subtleness of how he delivers the opening lines. It's great.
Oh God. Gives
I
me
don't
goosebumps
like
just
Lionel
thinking about it.
Richie. Like at all.
Oh man. Wow, Katie.
I know, I'm sorry. I don't know.
not
I'm not a fan. I like Diana Ross.
Yeah.
Not the biggest Lionel Richie fan, I guess. I mean, like Commodore's Lionel Richie wasn't that big of a fan. I was never that crazy about like Walking on the Ceiling.
It's a weird. It was your popular 80s. We need a top 20 hit. Throw it on there.
But when you look at how much Lionel was involved with and how many like hits he had,
We Are the World. I mean, he was one of the arbiters of We Are the World.
He helped write it
That's
with Mike.
true.
Yeah.
I'm going Joey Scarberry, Believe It or Not, better known as the theme from Greatest American Hero.
Such a good song.
The song was included on Scarberry's debut album. Get this. His debut album was called America's Greatest Hero.
Really?
Yeah, probably because of it already successful because of this. So composer Mike Post was working with Joey. Basically, Joey was like one of those artists that they signed to a record contract. They tried multiple times to like get him a hit and nothing was sticking. So then TV producer Stephen Cannell approached Mike Post to be like, hey, we need a theme song for this TV show. And he was like, I got this guy, Joey Scarberry. Maybe we can record something.
Some random dude.
They recorded this theme for Greatest American Hero, and it's awesome.
It's a great, that TV show hit it right, like the perfect time. Because it was just basically just an average dude that found an outfit and put it on and became a superhero.
And then, but one of the reasons I think I like it so much also is because of its use in 40-Year-Old Virgin.
Yes.
And they use it in like a montage scene. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's really good.
All right, Katie, you're up again.
867-5309. Jenny.
Oh,
Jenny,
yes.
Jenny.
Tommy Two-Tone.
Yes.
Tommy Two-Tone would get mad that people like assumed that Jenny was a prostitute, which, because like I got your number on the wall, like it's kind of like a bonkers concept for a song.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder like truly
right.
how he like came up with the idea to be like, what if I wrote a song about finding a girl's number on the wall in a bathroom?
And then in return, everybody put that number on the bathroom. And everybody who had 8675309 wanted to throw their head through a concrete wall.
Yeah.
Back in the good old days when you only needed 7 numbers to dial somebody out.
So who's creepier, Rick Springfield, who's like, man, I bet she's getting with Gary at night. I bet they're kissing and stuff.
Goddamn Gary.
Gary's
And, like,
girl.
He's sitting there letting it eat him from the inside out that his friend has a girlfriend. Like this dude's like a creep beyond all creeps. But then you got Tommy Two-Tone who's like, Jenny, I got your number off the wall. Come on, give me a chance. I found your number in the bathroom.
It's above the glory
I don't
hole.
know what you look like or
Yes,
anything. But yeah, that's a good question. But that was like a thing apparently back in the day. Why would people write phone numbers on bathroom walls? And would people actually call them?
It's like bathroom walls, glory holes, anything you ever want to put on a bathroom.
That's like primitive internet with phone
like,
numbers.
Would somebody be like, oh, this girl is real slutty, I'm going to put her number and tell somebody else. And then would someone call her like, hey, Pam, you don't know me, but
Jenny, I got your number.
Yeah.
How can I make you mine?
Yeah. 867-5309.
Wild. The 80s.
You know what? I'd be curious, and Kevin and I have talked about this on the, just not on the show, but in real life. If the world was inevitably going to permanently change, like we thought, like when we created this podcast during COVID, like, okay, the world's going to change afterwards, and we just reverted back. But if there was ever something beyond life altering, like Third World War, like this movie, for instance, and everything reverted back to, hey, we had to go back to using, when we get back to that stage of development where a telephone is a telephone. It's not apps. It's nothing that you have to physically talk to somebody. I think we're all screwed.
Yeah.
Totally, because the only phone number that I know is 867-5309. Like I don't know anyone's phone number.
Jenny, get us out of this.
Yeah.
How do we fix this?
I've known Kevin now for 20 plus years. I could not tell you his number off the top of my head.
Nope.
Not at all.
I couldn't tell you my parents' phone number. Like we've
I
lost
can tell
the
you
ability
my
to
home
memorize.
phone number from when I was a child.
Me too. Yeah.
But I can't tell you anybody's phone number I've learned since then.
No, not at all.
Yeah, we would be screwed.
Is it me? No, Kate. Yeah.
Katie went Tommy Two-Tone.
Yep, then me. Okay. It hurts me to say it now because you never thought these two would hate each other. Now they do. It's Hall & Oates, Kiss on my list.
Oh, yeah.
I never thought we would live in a society in which the greatest duo of all time now hate each other. Like when
I didn't know
somebody
they
said,
hated each other.
Yeah,
I
they're
guess
suing each other.
Yeah.
It's a whole thing.
Oh.
which I never thought the day would ever come where Hall & Oates are now. Like, I don't know who's in the fault or who's in the good.
I don't either.
I don't know if it's an Oates thing where he's like, look, I shaved my mustache and now fucking Hall has it all. I wrote these songs too. Let's be honest. John Oates probably has a great voice. He's the backup guy.
Yeah.
I mean, not that I'm not trying to.
This is a Daryl Hall vehicle.
Yes, he is. And without Daryl Hall, but Kiss on my list. Great song.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
It's such a damn good song. I can't name, off the top of my head, I can't name a Hall & Oates song where I went, ugh.
Yeah.
Not at all.
Okay. Well, we'll talk about Hall. We'll circle back around. I'll talk about Hall & Oates here shortly. But first, I'm going to say Stevie Nicks and Tom Petty, Stop Dragging My Heart Around.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh,
I knew this
good
song
one.
first because of Weird Al's parody, Stop Dragging My Car Around. I literally knew of that song before I knew of this version. This song was written by and for Tom Petty and the
Tom
Heartbreakers.
Brady.
Tom Brady.
Hey, Michigan's greatest
He
one.
said, no, I want to play football. I don't want to
Go
get
blue.
Detracted. So it was written for Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. Producer Jimmy Iovine, which you've heard of him, he arranged to have Stevie Nicks sing it. And then it became the lead single on her debut album, Belladonna. You can definitely tell it's more of a Tom Petty song.
Yeah.
It sounds more like a Tom Petty song. And then it does like Fleetwood Mac or Stevie Nicks. It ended up being Stevie Nicks' biggest solo hit.
2 bands I regret never seeing: Fleetwood Mac, Tom Petty, by far.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's probably never going to happen. I mean, well, Tom Petty obviously is not going to happen, but
Fleetwood Mac never.
Yeah.
No, not going
you
to
go see Lindsey Buckingham, though, probably at a county fair near here.
Like, can he just play Holiday Road from National Lampoon's Vacation over and over again at this rate? We'll get in a car.
I would love to see that. You know how bands like say, like, we're playing our classic album from 20 years ago. We're playing it from start to finish. I want to see Lindsey Buckingham play Holiday Road 15 times.
There's this one guy I work with an older guy. He's in his 60s. He came up to me. He's like, Jim, I'm so excited. I got Donnie Iris tickets.
Nice.
And I was like, where's Donnie Iris playing? He's playing at like some very small, I don't know, like a high school almost. I'm like, I cannot name another Donnie Iris song other than Aaliyah.
Yeah.
That was it.
Who is Donnie Iris?
That's the thing. Off the top, he was Donnie Iris in the Cruisers or something like that. In the 80s, he had a song called Aaliyah, AH''Leah. I'll never forget that song.
He was a member of Wild Cherry.
Really?
Yeah, who did play that funky
music white boy.
Yeah,
Holy
but
shit.
yeah, he was always seemed to be around here, like in our area, always playing. Him and Michael Stanley's from Cleveland, but it was always like, you gotta go see Michael Stanley. It's like, okay.
But we also in this area a lot at McMenemy's was Eddie Money. Always playing.
Which I
McMenemy's.
regret not seeing Eddie Money at McMenemy's because
right down the road.
God,
I would totally pass on an Eddie Money show.
Really?
Pass on it.
Yeah, I would pass on that. No.
I want to say though, I think tickets back then at McMenemy's, because it literally was like a place you would have weddings at.
Banquet center.
It's a banquet
But
center.
they would have concerts in their bar area.
Yeah.
And like Jim worked there for Slime Family Stone.
It was a nightmare. It was that I would come in there. I lived right down the road at the time, and I ended up getting a gig where I'd play there once a week. It was weird, like a Tuesday night. They're like, we want to try to revitalize this bar and bring people in. So I would work. They're like, oh, we want to do 5 nights a week. I'm like, all right. They're like, $100 an hour. I was like, sounds great to me. So I'm getting $400 a day for a week.
To watch like Deadliest Catch.
So after 3 days, it occurred to me, I'm like, nobody in their right mind is going to fucking come to this bar ever. So I became friends with the bartender. After the owners would leave, I would set up. The owners would just piss right off. They didn't care. He would go, hey, man, if you want, nobody's coming in. I'm just going to lock the doors. You can turn your shit off. We can just sit here at the bar and watch Deadliest Catch all night. And I was like, fuck yes. I was so excited. I'm like, I'm getting $100 an hour. Nobody's coming in. I don't have to do anything.
Amazing.
Needless to say, I think I only ended up doing it for like 2 months.
Well, I think you're the reason that it's now a mega church or whatever. They've converted it.
Really?
They turned it
into like one of those dime store mega churches.
Yeah, they turned it into like a weird mega church. So
wow.
You're welcome, everybody.
Yeah.
You're welcome, people of Niles. Is it? Yeah, Katie, you got your
last one.
Your number one.
Oh, is it back to me already?
Yep.
Yeah. Your final one.
Yeah. No Woman, No Cry. Bob Marley and the Wailers.
Good.
It's just like, I mean, it's very unique. And I'm a big Bob Marley fan, but it's an epic song.
It's a great song. I agree. Especially in the early 80s, you needed a song like this with a lot of shit going on around the world. It was a good one. Oh, then I keep thinking it's you. Then
I think
I'm losing it. So my number one is REO Speedwagon, but I'm going with Can't Fight This Feeling Anymore. Yeah. Oh my God. REO is just, now they have these hits. My personal REO song of all time is Roll With The Changes. It's like a 6-minute long song. It's just one of those songs that hit you and it feels, what song of theirs didn't hit you in the feels. It was just one constant banger after banger after banger. It was just Kevin Corn in that voice. They played REO, I think it was last summer. They played the Youngstown Amphitheater. I was interested in going to see REO before I found out the cheapest ticket was like $89 for an outdoor amphitheater. And it's not Red Rock at all. No, it's the Youngstown. You're under a bridge in Youngstown. It's not $100 ticket worthy.
And then with fees, it'd be like $800. Fees are so expensive.
Under a bridge fee, escape from Youngstown fee.
It's ridiculous because my girlfriend and I, we were looking at getting Justin Timberlake's coming back to Cleveland on this new tour. And we were looking up ticket prices because I went to the 2020 tour back in 2013, one of the best concerts I've ever been to. For nosebleed, like top of the queue in downtown Cleveland, was like $185 before taxes and fees per ticket. Nope.
I would have thought it'd be more, to be honest with you.
Yeah. But it's literally like slammed up against the top of the roof. But you're figuring after fees and everything, you're looking at $250 a ticket. They're going to premium price the parking, premium.
Not even worth mentioning it too, but all the tickets are purchased by bots.
Yeah.
They go on sale. It's all just like bots who buy all the tickets. They go to the resale market. I hate it. I hate the process. I miss going to like Giant Eagle or you'd go to the mall and you'd go to whatever the Ticketmaster office was.
Yep.
And they'd be like, they'd pull out the seating chart in their binder. They'd show you the seating chart where you want to sit and you point.
There's my service fee.
They literally sell you a physical ticket to the concert.
You can't even get physical tickets anymore.
No.
God forbid.
They charge you for that. That's an extra fee if you want.
Yeah. I hate the world anymore.
I know, me too.
Just pisses me off.
All right, so my number one, Hall & Oates Private Eyes.
Yo.
Hall & Oates had a big year in 1981. The rhythm of this song is honestly pretty similar to Kiss on My List, which was a number one song for them earlier in 81. This was their third number one out of 6 number ones, following Rich Girl, Kiss on My List, and then after they had I Can't Go For That, Man Eater, and Out of Touch, which I love Out of Touch.
So do I.
Say It Isn't So was number 2 for 6 weeks, but could not crack through Paul McCartney and Michael Jackson's Say, Say, Say. That song was that was like during Thriller Mania.
Yeah.
So that song wasn't going anywhere.
Backed on it.
Couple honorable mentions. Dolly 9 to 5. The Police.
Great movie.
The Police had a few hits at that time, like Don't Stand So Close to Me. Billy Squier, The Stroke.
It's a great song. Speaking of a song, it's probably about masturbation.
Probably.
Yeah.
I would probably.
I'm going to sound, once again, I'm putting myself out there to be ridiculed. The song by the Police, Don't Dance So Close to Me. As a child, I thought it was Ghost Dance Close to Me.
Yeah, Ghost Dance So Close to Me.
Yeah, a ghost danced so close to me.
Oh, the kid brain. Yeah. No, that's, I have a lot of those. I can't think of a good example right now where I think the lyrics are something else.
I love Misheard Lyrics so much.
Oh, it's the best. Kind of like the Vince Neil videos where
those aren't Misheard Lyrics. Those are just
Vince Neil.
Yeah. Yes. All right. Let's get back in the pool. YMCA's ours today.
Hey, would you like to jump back in the pool? Do you want to see something? Call it Snake.
All right. Critical question. More so because Katie's our special guest. Which role is Kurt Russell at his most attractive?
Katie, that's all you.
Oh, crap. I don't know if I was prepared for this.
I was going to tell you, and Kevin's like, you know what? Maybe we should do this unprompted. So there you go. You've covered quite a bit so far.
And I guess part 2 of that is where does Kurt as Snake Plissken fall on the spectrum of attractiveness? I would say his least attractive, in my opinion, has got to be probably the Disney movies.
Because he's a child.
He's a child. It doesn't count. It doesn't count.
But he wasn't really that young, though, was he?
He was probably the least.
Yeah, he was probably 18, 19, 20, and 21.
Yeah, so but he was real, like, white bread.
He looked like he was like a freshman in high school.
Very clean cut. Yeah.
All-American.
I might have to say Backdraft, because I recall when doing that episode, I was just taken aback, like, because you really see the piercing eyes. You see he's real tan. I like Chicago too, so
yeah.
I don't know. And he's like in his 40s there. I kind of
Yeah. Well, that's what
like
I say. He's a
men-
little bit more
yeah.
well seasoned. He's a little like
Yeah.
gruffy, kind of like
Yeah.
stubbly. Like he's definitely came into his own there.
God, I'm
so
trying to.
it's so an early 90s Kurt Russell probably.
I like McCready with the beard.
Oh yeah.
Just because.
No, because you can't see his face.
Oh. And I will say
You
an
know?
underrated one, Jack Burton.
Oh
Ooh,
yeah.
love. I actually get one of my notes for this movie is I get major Jack Burton vibes. They have a
Yeah.
similar
Oh yeah.
like outfit. It's very similar. Sans the
You could have
eye
used a
patch.
6-demon bag to get out of Manhattan.
I wish Egg Shen was in Escape from
I
New
love
York.
Big Trouble in Little China so
It's
much.
so-
It's such a weird
John Carpenter.
movie. It's
Yeah,
also
John
John
Carpenter.
Carpenter.
Yeah. If
They
I'm
had like
going
6 movies together, didn't
Yeah.
they?
Yeah. I'm going into the catalog. I'm trying to think like Kurt Russell, like how he looked in Soldier was pretty badass, but then I tie that into how he looked in Stargate. So you have that flat top military, but then you
Mhm.
can never go wrong. And Katie, you know this, like your mid to late 80s, Dean Prophet,
Oof.
overboard look.
Yeah.
But my girlfriend especially loves when he played Gabriel Cash.
Yeah, I was gonna say right before Backdraft, Tango and Cash.
Oh, I
She
don't know why. Well, they have a shower scene that goes on forever.
Oh, I know. My girlfriend really mentioned that. She didn't want it to end. I was like, okay, it's got to end sometime soon there. Okay, honey?
And it is elongated, pun intended.
That's what she said.
But I think I'm a big Stallone person.
Me too.
And
We
he's-
both are.
He's in it too. So like Kurt almost looked chubby in comparison.
Yeah.
You know
Like
what I
the
mean?
he looked like the everyday man next to Stallone.
Well, he's the everyman. He's one of my everymen.
Yeah. We
But yeah,
love
that's a good
Stallone.
call.
As you can see to the left of us, I made this for Kevin for a birthday present. It's over the top as a shadow box with Stallone as Lincoln Hawk or Hawks,
Or Hawks.
depending. That's another
Depending
thing.
on, yep.
He doesn't even know his own fucking name within the movie. People call him Hawks. He doesn't once ever say, "Hey, it's Hawk." Never. Just this. He doesn't even know his name. But we
It's
love
great.
Stallone. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I also say honorable mention in Death Proof.
Yeah.
He plays stuntman Mike, but he's older Kurt Russell, you know.
Katie, what do you think about like Kurt Russell now, like Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, great Kurt Russell, old seasoned veteran Kurt Russell. I will say that movie did piss me off because I don't like seeing Kurt Russell being a bad guy.
So I have not seen Guardians of the Galaxy.
Shit. I've spoiled
but-
it. Sorry, Katie.
But I'm not a fan of like the comic book movies.
Okay.
Aside from Batman.
Yeah.
Like I like the Batman movies. So I don't see Marvel, whatever. But just based on in other things in the press, just generally Kurt Russell out in the world now, if I have a partner when I'm 77 Goldie Hawn, I think is 77. I want him to look like Kurt Russell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing. How long have they been married now? 40 years or
time.
something like that?
Yeah. So
They're not even married.
Oh, shit. That's right. They're not married. They've just been
That's why I
together.
love it.
speaking of
That's why I
Goldie
love it.
Hawn and their relationship, so I'm not sure at all it's what he wants, but how would you both of you feel about Wyatt Russell taking on some of his dad's roles? Because at times he looks just like his
It's a
dad.
spitting image of his father.
He looks just like him, depending on the beard situation, the hair situation.
Katie, what do you think?
I don't like a remake. So
Okay.
even though I would see it, I wouldn't want them to remake. Like, please don't ever remake Big Trouble in Little China.
Yeah.
The Rock was trying to do that forever.
No.
Yeah,
And
please
I just-
don't.
No,
Yeah.
leave it alone. It could never ever be what the original is.
No.
And I even saw they were trying to remake this movie. Like I don't like it. So
They've been trying to do
Despite
this
him
one
looking like
for
him.
years. Like it's always gotten to the point where they were going to start
Mhm.
developing it and it always fell through. They also were trying to tie Metal Gear, the game in which the character Snake Plissken was
Mhm.
based off of, trying to intertwine both, and it just never sold. I just don't get it in Hollywood. There's always this idea that they always need to remake something or reboot
Yeah.
something instead of making an original idea
Well,
anymore.
It's kind of interesting though when you do end up with a nepo baby like a Wyatt Russell who looks just like his dad.
Yeah.
Because if they're ever like, hey, let's go back to that universe. We've got an actor who you can plug in and nobody's going to know the
I
difference.
mean, you could do a...
As long as they don't de-age anyone. I hate that.
No. How old is Wyatt Russell now? Is he probably in his early 30s, I would assume?
Let me look it up.
You could do a prequel to Escape from New York if you wanted to.
He's 37.
Okay, I think you could do a prequel to Escape from New York. Don't remake it.
Yeah.
I think that would be the best.
Yeah,
I
do
could
Cleveland.
get on board
and-
with that.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah, do Cleveland.
Okay. Someone that I would not want roaming the streets of
No.
Manhattan if I were in there is Mr. David McCall.
Hey guys, just so you know, I grew up with me and Kurt are boys, okay? And one time we went to my brother Donnie and my other brother, who I can't remember his name off the top of my head because I got a lot going on at Mark Wahlberg Chevrolet in Cleveland. Come now, we're selling Silverados. But one of these days, Kurt came into Wahlburgers and I said, hey pal, let's go make a movie together, okay? And he said, no, I don't like you. And I was like, I'm gonna fucking kill you.
It all could have been different, Mr. Walker. You should have allowed nature to take its course.
All right. So, logic for Escape from New York.
Oh.
The final shot of the movie shows Snake destroying the cassette that he swapped. So, the way I read this is that Snake realizes that the president has learned nothing from his ordeal in Manhattan.
Yeah, he doesn't care.
And the president and government only care about stopping the war, or I guess not stopping it, whatever's best for optics.
Yeah.
So much like real life politicians and the government don't care what people have to say. So do we think Snake just decided to take this in his own hands? Or do you think he wasn't even thinking that far ahead?
Katie, what do you think?
Yeah, I do think that that's when he decided, for sure. Like, I think that he asked the question to the president, and if the president gave a different answer, he probably wouldn't have swapped the tapes.
I think so too. I think if he wasn't treated, the president was going to be gracious and go, thank you, Mr. Plissken, for doing this. Even call him Mr. Plissken, just being over the top. Thank you, saved my life. You don't know what you've done for the country. I don't think he rips the tape.
Yeah, probably not.
Or not just ripped or switched the tape, I should say.
Well, I do like how they shot it because, like, the president, they're like tearing his clothes off, getting him changed, putting makeup on him.
Job.
And it's like, we're getting him on, like, you're going on TV in 90 seconds or whatever. And that was his goal the whole time. Like, he didn't care about anything or anyone.
No, not at all. So my first one is, it's really logic and it's very science nerdy, but there is no way with the plane going down and basically on the deck about to crash into a building in New York that the president would be able to survive being launched out of the escape pod because he'd be going at speed into the fucking ground. There is no way that Donald Pleasance, the president, survives.
Even if the pod was made from a material that allowed it to, he would be like in the ground. And
like even if it was the foam stuff that saved John Spartan in Demolition Man from the car crash in front of the SAPD, there is no way in hell the president survives an at-speed crash landing.
Yeah.
There's no way.
I said it earlier, we need a background on Duke, on how he came to power, because, like, in, 7 years that Manhattan has been a prison, was Duke, like, the guy from day one? Like, when they...
Yeah.
I honestly, actually, I have a whole deep dive on how exactly did and does Manhattan work? Were they just like, okay, on this date, we are contaminating the water, putting up these walls. If you're inside forever.
Only thing I could associate this with is Manhattan and that whole surrounding island was basically the biggest cause of the 400% increase on crime. So they said, fuck it. They federalized the police force, so it's the United States police force. They said, it's going to hell. We're walling it off. We're putting everybody there. But the issue I have with that then is, why are there no police force on the actual island to stop people like Duke coming to power? Because even in prisons,
that's the point.
Yeah, I think that's the point, is let them figure. It's honestly
Free
kind
for all.
of a
like
fun social experiment.
Like social Darwinism.
Yeah, it's like
Like
who's
Lord
going
of
to
the
be in charge?
Flies
Yes, exactly.
type.
Lord of the Flies.
Yeah.
But like,
And that,
No, go for it, Katie.
oh, I was just going to say, I hate that so much. Like, to me, that is scarier. Thus, when they give you the option before you enter to terminate and be cremated. I would take that option.
yes.
Yeah, I think I would too.
Yeah. They
And
it's like they just leave you behind and whatever happens, happens.
Mhm.
Yeah, because how does Brain start this gas empire? Like, did he start just by
Yeah.
siphoning?
Well,
shit?
but that's the
I'm
other.
sucking gas tanks.
That's
man.
part
There's
of the
one
other
of those
questions I
things.
have.
What do you call it?
He's literally using a siphon tube.
Is like
Yeah.
people who lived there in Manhattan who weren't supposed to be there.
They're fucked right
Did they
off.
get any sort of assistance for getting out of Manhattan? Because they were like, look, you have until this date. We're closing the wall. If your car's still there,
Sorry.
it's staying there. If your clothes are still there, they're staying there. If your cat's still there,
Sorry,
it's staying there.
Sorry, Mr. Abraham. I know you loved your Cadillac with the chandeliers on the front, but you got to leave
So,
something behind.
there
One bag
is-
only.
There are monthly food drops, and I'm assuming supply drops. But like, is everything else coming from just what was left behind, the cars and
But at that point,
Yeah, because they're old. Like they show
Yeah.
us that they're old.
why the hell would you want to do a food drop in there? It's a dictatorial government. Why would they care if they live or die? They want them to die off. Like, why are we feeding
it would
them?
be interesting if we saw them like farming,
Yeah.
where they were like, this is the food
Mm.
supply, and that
Yeah.
was all part of the system. You know, it's very like, to me, that's the most interesting part of this is the exploration of what Manhattan is, how the Duke came to power, who's the government, does Duke have rivals, are there elections? Like, that's what's fascinating.
Mhm.
Yeah, I want to know how like World War III kicked off, and I'm probably in the minority where I'm that type of guy that needs to know every single friggin' detail. But I need to know because then my mind doesn't wander and it's finalized.
Yeah.
I'd prefer that. Katie, you got any other things logic wise?
Along the similar line, you mentioned the food drop, and when they're when he's with Season Hubley in some store, the nuts,
Yeah.
chock full of nuts store.
Chock of nuts.
They talk about like there must be all these different gangs that you join up with because she's
Yeah,
like, I'm
that's
with the
what I would
Turks
think.
now, and then the crazies come and they get her. Do they eat her? Are we to believe that they ate her because she says they're hungry? It's the end of the month.
That's actually a pretty
they-
insightful, like fascinating sort of observation.
Or is that a weird thing to ask? Like I was
No, I
like,
think that's-
are they eating her?
I don't think it would be out of the realm of possibility, considering if food is minimalized, you're gonna have gangs there's gonna be a cannibal like sect. I guarantee it. That's really smart. I never even thought of that.
Yeah.
That's really good.
And I wonder how many people are like, do they extract the bodies when somebody dies?
Good
Hmm.
Or
question.
do they leave them?
I'd
No,
probably just
I don't think they
burp.
do.
And then
It's just
if
you're on your own.
and if they leave them, do the prisoners themselves then somebody's got to have some sort of heart to perform a burial service or at least like last rites. I don't know. It's to me, that's like where I would love to do a deeper dive on just how Manhattan works. Like I want a movie about that.
Yeah, or even give
Yeah,
me a
yeah.
full background of how Snake became aware. How did Snake lose his eye? Like,
Yeah.
what happened to Snake's eye?
Well,
But
That's
apparently
in the
that
Russell.
novelization.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
just gonna say in the novelization they really break it down because apparently they were gonna put this at the beginning of the movie, but according to the novelization, it said his unit was with his one friend where he lost his eye. The Russians used nerve gas during the fight, and the protective goggles around his face cracked and it ended up ruining his eye. So
Oh.
that's how he lost his eye.
It's interesting.
But apparently they were gonna put it near the beginning of this movie, but they said it would have taken too long.
It would have.
I mean, granted, it would have spread the
Mhm.
movie out a lot.
So Snake lands his glider atop the World Trade Center as he enters Manhattan. How is he not detected? Like, wouldn't have he been shot down? Because I would assume this would have. Duke basically was like, no one else come in after the president or the president's dead. If Duke sees someone landing a hand glider on top of the Trade Center, wouldn't he have killed the president?
I think A, it helped that it was at night. B, great landing skills by Snake
Oh, yeah.
to basically put that puppy right down on top of the World Trade Center. And then I don't think anybody would have thought that some guy would come in with a glider and put it on top of a building to try to come rescue the president. They probably banked on the fact that, hey, it's 110 stories. People are lazy. They ain't going up there.
Yeah.
That's a lot of work. There's no elevators.
Yeah. So how much of an undertaking? So by the time Snake lands the glider, I think he has 22 hours on foot
Yeah.
he does have a transponder, but he has 22 hours on foot in Manhattan to find and extract the president. What kind of undertaking do you think that is?
It's not enough time.
I don't think it's enough time either.
No.
I think you'd end up using so much of the time trying to locate the guy, fighting off just the masses.
And rumble,
And
like
the-
rubble everywhere.
And then you have to get across the bridge, which is mined and all that. It's just, it seems like quite the undertaking. And to add to the suspense, he's got the, carotid artery explosive device.
It helped that he knew Brain, or somehow stumbled across Brain.
Yeah, if he didn't have Cabby and Brain, I mean, I think he's toast.
Yeah.
Because he's nowhere to start.
Speaking of Cabby, don't you love how he just always happened to appear at the perfect time to whisk
He was a very
Snake
good
away?
Deus Ex Machina.
Yeah, he was. Right place, right time. Always.
The wrist things, though, you guys, what I feel like there were two different ones. One was like a timer.
Yeah.
And one had like an emergency button that was hidden. And at some point, they're both taken off. Like they get taken off of Kurt.
Yeah.
And then when he's in the wrestling match, he sees somebody else with the one with the button, and he pushes the button to alert Hawk that he's like still in the game.
Still alive.
Yeah.
But then like in the next scene, he has the timer watch back on.
That's a good point.
I was kind of confused about it.
I think there's also some continuity issues with the time itself.
Yeah.
When they show the time on his watch, I don't think it lines up probably accurately.
Yeah. Then again, why would Hawk care if he lied? He was just gonna knock him off anyways if you're up to no good. So it's like, why does it matter? I don't know. Continuity. And here's another thing too. So, like you brought up, Katie, it's a little ridiculous that the president has a tape surrounded by a massive briefcase that is handcuffed to his arm. But if you have the secret to ending World War III and putting the world back together, why would the only documented proof of it be on one blank tape? There's no book, there's no paper, there's no backup of a backup of a backup.
Good point.
There is nothing. So you're telling me, even if it's a dictatorship, somebody didn't back this shit up and go, Mr. President, fuck it, we got it. We're good. Sorry, pal. Thanks, Snake. Boom, boom, carotid artery. Have a good day. We got the tape. No, boogie.
Yeah, Snake never really questions that there's a possibility that they could essentially fuck him over.
Yeah.
And double cross him on this.
Good point.
He could do everything they wanted him to do, return the president, give him the tape, and then they could just, exactly like you said, just detonate and no one's the wiser.
So were they just going to, and I've watched this movie a lot, I can't believe I don't remember this. Were they just going to execute him anyways if he didn't go to New York, or he was just going to be spending hard labor the rest of his life?
He was just going to be in Manhattan.
Okay, so it's like, fuck it.
He's just going to be in Manhattan.
Yeah, he's just going to chill.
So, yeah, they're like, you're going to go in anyway, but you're going to get out. So,
Katie, you got any more?
Yeah, let's see. I think we talked about most of the ones that I had.
Okay. So what is the legacy of this movie? There was a sequel 15 years later, Escape from LA, which is...
I can't wait for you to watch it, Kate.
I just...
Oh, God. Now I'm nervous.
I can't wait.
They took, like, all the core of Escape from New York and then made it campy.
It's campy. There's bad CG.
Basketball.
Oh.
Yeah.
But there are comic books. John Carpenter was trying to do an anime spinoff last year, but it's since been canceled.
Okay.
I mean, again, we mentioned it in Logic. There's a lot of stories that could be told out of this universe.
Oh, yeah.
About the, Duke, about the island, about, if there's a Manhattan, there's also an LA, a Cleveland, a St. Louis, a Denver, a Dallas, wherever. There are lots of stories you could tell within, these parameters. And then where's Snake go and what's Snake doing? But sometimes, do you leave it alone? I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know why. I would like to know, because I didn't do like the background of why they waited 15 years to decide to do a sequel. I know when we're getting into the mid to late 80s, Kurt Russell is on cloud nine. He's just banger after banger after banger. Maybe he just couldn't get time, and John Carpenter moved on to other things. Vampire, why? Not a great movie. But then I guess, him and Kurt were always tight, so I wonder if John Carpenter said, hey, man, gonna throw me a bone here. We'll bring it back as Snake Plissken.
Well,
it's Escape from LA.
Good thing is the three of us are going to revisit. Yes,
we are.
We're going to watch Escape from LA, and we're going to have those conversations as to why and how, and then probably why again. Yeah, what we'll be asking ourselves at the end of it. So
yeah.
All right, stick around for some plugs.
It's TikTok and YouTube at Pool Scene Podcast. We are all over the place, so you will never get one opportunity to miss us anytime, anywhere. And as always, back to Kevin.
Final lap guy. Did you get out of Abu Dhabi? I was trying to think of somewhere they hold like F1 races.
That's true. Abu Dhabi is the season-ending race, so that would make sense. So I got one thing here in the final lap now. Katie, are you familiar? There's this stuff going around the news right now about this Willy Wonka event that they had.
Yes.
Basically turned into like it was like Fire Fest. There was all these things, these renderings, and people showed up and went, "What the hell is this?" Are you familiar with this?
Yes. Yeah, I'd kind of forgotten about it, but yeah.
So apparently, shocking enough, parents are pissed.
Yeah.
And you find out this guy, his name is Billy Cole, Coull, because this took place in Glasgow in Scotland. And they find out that he was also a scammy Amazon business seller.
No way.
And
shocking.
He also sells AI-written vaccine conspiracy books.
Whoa.
Not only conspiracy books, he doesn't even write his own shit. He has something written for him.
This very much tracks like all of those things. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm so embarrassed because I think tickets were like $40 or something.
$44.
And then people showed up to this and it was like plastic, backdrops hung on the wall, and then they had the most unhappy looking, performers. There was that girl Oompa Loompa, and it was just very sad.
The guy is now referred to as Willy Wanker. So perfect name. That could be more about sucking on chili dogs behind the tasty free, where Willy Wanker is back there waiting for you. Katie, anything you want to shoot the breeze here with before we wrap off? And of course, promote the podcast and everything.
Well, shooting the breeze, I'm curious. Are you guys going to be watching the new Roadhouse movie? The remake?
Oh,
I don't know.
See, we talked about this.
I'm not sure.
Do it, because I'm going to cover it. I'm going to do a bonus episode on it.
Okay, so now that you're going to, I will watch it. I will say, I just don't know about Jake Gyllenhaal anymore. I
just don't know, again, why
you needed it.
They needed to do this, because like Patrick Swayze, Sam Elliott,
fucking perfect.
God, all the sex appeal.
Terry Funk
in Roadhouse, and
it's so great.
Awesome. And then the guy's throat gets ripped out. And now you have isn't Gyllenhaal like an MMA fighter? He's not.
Conor McGregor's in it. I don't even know if his name's
set in
Dalton.
Florida.
I don't know if it's
like Jake Gyllenhaal, but there's been a lot of controversy about the makers of it, and there not being a theater release and some copyright stuff. And
is it just going to be on Amazon or?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
And the question about did we need this? Absolutely not. No. Again, Roadhouse is kind of one of those please don't. But I'm a sucker, so.
But
I'm going to be watching it.
We're suckers here too. So
wait until I see it. But I wonder if it's one of those remakes where basically they're just trying to capitalize on the name, and they literally just called it Roadhouse, and then they use the most basic premise of the
I think you're right.
But here's the thing too: does Roadhouse still have that name of clout?
No. I
love
Roadhouse. Amazing.
Let's preface this: the three of us can agree on
this.
Fast
and the Furious, it's
we love Roadhouse. We love Swayze. We've done Swayze movies on our podcast as well. We love Patrick. Rest in peace. But when I think of IPs, it's not Fast and the Furious.
No, there are IP where you put the name on it and it makes easily $200 million automatically. At best, putting Roadhouse on the title, what was the end goal?
I will say that's probably why it's on Amazon, because I couldn't imagine what this movie would even make at the theaters.
Nothing goes to the theater anymore, though. I mean, it's kind of hard to use that as a benchmark, but I think it's a nostalgia play. I think a lot of it's not really. I don't know. I think it is supposed to be. I feel like there's such a big cult following with the original Roadhouse, but among people our age, you know what I mean? Or older.
That's true.
So I don't know. But
Go ahead.
Oh, no. Go ahead.
I have such a big problem with how just the whole industry works now because, again, to your detriment, everything's a superhero movie, IP based off something, remake, reboot, and even still, almost nothing goes to theaters.
Yeah.
But then you take something like Coyote vs. Acme, and David Zaslav is so intent on just, nope, we got to wipe this movie from existence.
Giant piece of shit.
We're going to take they're going to take a $30 million tax break for canceling the movie.
And it's already done.
And it's done. It's got
like
Hollywood names in it. Yeah. It's got John Cena in it. Supposedly, the few people who did see it said it's very enjoyable. Netflix, Amazon, Paramount all offered them. I know Netflix offered them $40 million, which their tax breaks $30 million. That should have been a good deal.
This movie alone would have made a damn good amount of money in theaters.
Anything animated, this is like a hybrid live action animated.
Yeah, it's like Space Jam.
Yes, it's gonna make easily
$100
million.
Yeah,
but instead they would rather. And again, they did it with Batgirl,
where Michael Keaton is back as Batman.
People would have went and saw that movie.
I would have just
for Michael Keaton as Batman.
Had to sit through the fucking Flash to see him as Batman, and that movie sucked. Horrible.
So, I just don't understand the again, my theory, and this is just I have a tinfoil hat on. My theory is they would rather lose money, take the tax break, than to take the chance at suffering negative backlash on social media.
So stupid. Because
they're like, people are going to say bad things about this on Twitter. We can't let that happen. We got to delete the movie from existence.
Social media is such a damn double-edged sword anymore, because it's like, Katie, you know this too. It's like, that's our promotion. We promote through all of social media and all this shit. But man, I miss the simpler days in which there wasn't any. And you literally just had to.
That's why I want like an Escape from New York universe. I would love it if there was no social media at all.
Yeah.
It'd be fantastic.
Exactly. And we could still podcast
I tend to be
too
an
and shoot
old
the
person.
shit.
Like we're all kind of in agreement. And obviously I have like a show about retro stuff, so I romanticize the past quite a bit. Yeah.
But we were really
I just think it was better.
We were really the first generation to be like entirely online like that.
It's true.
Because all of it came out in our prime, in our youth. But like in 20 years, it's went from something very exciting and imagining the possibilities to social media controlling everyone's lives.
Yeah.
I would love to go like off the grid. And by off the grid, I just mean I would love to delete every app on my phone.
Alaskan bush people.
Not that far.
Yeah, true.
But if I don't have Twitter, I don't know where to get the best chili dog to suck.
It's very true.
If there's a profit to be made, everything will be like until the last. Isn't there like a Native American proverb about that? Like until the last tree, they'll continue to chop down all the trees until there's no more trees left. And only then will they realize they can't eat money.
Yeah. It's true.
Yeah. I like this is a whole different conversation, but I love when someone reaches $1 billion, they send them a certificate that says you won capitalism and you can't earn another cent.
You know what it is? It's a YouTube plaque. You just get a
YouTube plaque. You hit $1 billion. Great job. You won. No more money.
You're done.
You're done.
Cut off.
Anything you make over this gets redistributed.
Yeah, you win life. Exactly.
Yeah.
You made it.
Yeah.
And then maybe down the road, they decide, I'm sure it would happen.
Yeah.
It's
if
10
there's
billion.
leftovers. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? Somebody's going to fight and they're going to say, I think I should be able to get $1 trillion.
Yeah.
So, okay. Well, Katie, we really, really appreciate you coming on this podcast and talking about capitalism conspiracy theories.
You want to go ahead and hit us up with your plugs there, Katie?
Yeah. So again, like all your podcast apps and on YouTube, Retromade, your pop culture rewind. That's where you can find me. And also, we talked about Sylvester Stallone. I did also want to mention that I co-host on a Rocky movie series podcast called One More Round.
Listen to it. Love it.
So that is also found same places, YouTube and your podcast apps. So yeah.
Katie and I have talked briefly of the majesty that me and you love for Rocky 5.
Oh yeah.
Because it's just like
hit me and I'll sue.
Yeah. Hit me, I'll sue. But the goddamn Go For It song, I don't care. That movie sucks. That song is straight fire.
Well, that's
as
how
the
we
kids
feel about
say.
Caddyshack 2.
Yeah, exactly. That's how we know.
What a great song. So, Katie, what are some recent episodes you've done on Retromade that people might want to check out?
Oh, wow.
Besides all of them, Katie.
Yeah, like, I mean, if you like a Patrick Swayze or a Kurt Russell movie, so we're getting down to the wire. So, like, some of the lesser known ones that I actually hadn't seen before. So, Tall Tale will have just come out. Next of Kin is out. We're on a Patrick Swayze roll. I will say that one of the writers, this is a tie-in, I promise. One of the writers on this, Nick Castle, who is known as the shape of Mike Myers.
Yep.
Yeah.
He also wrote Skate Town, USA from 1979, which was Patrick Swayze's very first ever movie role. It is wild.
That's
and
awesome.
I think you should check out that episode. It's fun.
Hell yeah.
That would be fun.
Kevin and I love our skating movies because we've done I don't know, Katie, have you ever seen the movie Airborne from 1993, like a rollerblade movie?
No. I don't think so.
So damn good.
So I got to hang out with, Seth Green's in it, Jack Black, a bunch of unknowns. But I
think it's Jack Black's first movie.
I got to hang out with Seth Green for a day. And I remember telling him, I was like, Airborne's one of my favorite movies. And he was like, don't think I've ever heard that one before. But yeah, you get an opportunity, you gotta take it. Ridiculous. Gleaming the Cube. There's a Josh Brolin.
Oh, Thrashin'.
X
Bandits with Nicole Kidman. We did
Rad. Yep. All those 80s skateboarding, BMX, roller skating. What's
rollerball?
Justin wants us to cover that one Corey Haim movie.
Yeah.
Shout out Justin, Dead Ink Apparel.
Yeah. And also shout out to Justin too for designing our new logos. Merch coming soon, everybody. Merch coming soon. Finally,
exciting.
We're excited for it. So, but yeah, Katie, you are the best. Thank you for being a part of this crazy thing we call the Pool Scene Podcast. And
I love it. This has been so much fun. So thanks for having me.
Yeah, and we are excited to jump next time in with you to do the sequel to Escape from New York. 15 years later, Snake Plissken returns. An escape from LA.
All right, everyone. Until next week, Silencia.
Adios.